I just want to take you through staying ahead of the curve, the professionalization of HR. But for us to get into that and make sense, I thought we should just, you'll allow me, I can't stand still, so I hope you are fine with that. Because I do understand that you have your own definition of a professional. You say this guy was not professional because he was walking around. I don't know whether that will be your definition of a professional. But I want us to analyze this statement before we go any further. As a relatively new profession, inconsistencies in HR practice are experienced across different industries as a result of a lack of standardized approaches to HR management. If I ask you about your own company, or if you move from one company to the next, and then they start to say, please do this, and then you say, no, in my previous company, we didn't do it like this, we used to do it like this. And then it simply says it's like a localized HR. It's almost like whatever your boss was happy about, that is what is your definition of HR. And I thought maybe we should just say, let's first of all look at these people and how they look at the HR professional. If you look at the first slide, which is a simple slide, when I say I'm working in HR, my friends think I'm just sitting and doing nothing. That's their view of HR. And if you ask my mother thinks I have arrived. I mean, because I'm always on the phone calling people. So that's how she thinks about HR. And my wife thinks because of the lekhutas and the team buildings, think all I do is play golf. That's their view of HR. And if you are like this man that I shall not, that does not deserve me mentioning the name, if you remember the program that he used to have called The Apprentice, and for other people it was the first time for them to see anything HR on the television, and the word that they know is you are fired. I mean, if you think I'm lying, if you go to the township with me over the weekend and people meet me and ask me what I do, and then I say I'm in HR, they say, please hire me. Because all they think is we hire and fire. And that's all we do. And Donald didn't help us. And others think, personally, I think I am the man. I think I'm the Superman. I deal with people who cry in my office. I solve all problems. I make you get your salary every month. So I think I'm a Superman. Yes. But the reality, ladies and gentlemen, the reality is all I do is I shove papers from office to office. Deadline, the deadline is, the ATR is due, WSP is due on this day, payroll closing date is this, and this is all that the world has defined us as. And we have not been helping it. You know, I'm not a slide guy, so I'm just going to talk from my heart. So just bear with me. I talk because I love what I do. Because I am not HR. I am people. I love what I do. Maybe you don't get it. You wake up early in the morning every day to go to work. Me, I wake up to go and have fun because I love what I do. I am... And by the way, I am not an accountant, even though my first degree is in accounting. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a historian. For me, an accountant will tomorrow go to the office and ask me, where are the slips for the lunch that you bought? That's what they are. And I am not an engineer, and I don't feel apologetic about it. I'm not an engineer. I mean, because for them, they work with objects, and the objects with no feeling. You put it like this, it will behave like this. But if I talk about an HR professional, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about the most sophisticated person that you can ever think of. Because you are dealing with a human being, and you can never, let me translate from vernacular. You can never confirm a human being. You can never. You know, you hire this guy today, he checks out very well, and 3 months down the line, he has resigned. Or 10 months down the line, he's accused of sexual harassment or something else. So it's always complication. I don't know whether you understand. I'm a married man, so I know what is complication. Complication is asking whether am I fat or not. And you know the answer that you have to give, otherwise. So our jobs are so complicated because there is no guideline that you can use, because the first person and the next, the ideas are not the same. But ladies and gentlemen, I wish I was going to tell you good news today, but I am not. Today I want to talk to you because we are all by ourselves with no accountants, and tell you to say, I want to ask you whether we are really professional. I want to ask whether we can really claim our seat at the executive table, because I have a problem. And I want to tell you about my former boss. And then maybe you will understand from this story of my former boss. I was working for this big organization years ago. I'm not so young. I'm definitely older than you. And you see, I have power right now, so I can talk and you can't talk back. So, years ago, I was the head of talent, learning and talent, and I was not a member of the EXCO. You guys, you have EXCOs, so you know what I'm talking about. So the HR director, who was my boss, was the member of the EXCO. Are you following, guys? I want to feel you. Yeah. He or she was the member of the EXCO. And EXCO was a big thing. We almost prepared the whole month for the EXCO. And then when it's over, we prepare again for the next one. Does that sound familiar? Yes. So what happened was, now it was those time with those talent grids. You remember those 9 grids? Yeah. And I was meant to come and present to EXCO. The talent grid of the company. I almost mentioned the company. So I had to come and present the talent grid. It was a big thing. I didn't sleep because, I was going to go to the EXCO. And as not a member, I really prepared, and I probably tried to decide that I'm going to wear this suit and then maybe not, maybe this one. It was a big thing for me. And then come the morning, I arrive at the venue, and if you know Parliament, I didn't say it was in Parliament, no. I'm saying if you know how Parliament committees sit like, it's almost like a circle, you know? So the executive or the members of the EXCO sit in that, and if you are invited, you sit at the back, you know, anyway. So you sit right anyway. So for me, I looked for a strategic position because I was early, so that where my boss is sitting, I will be able to see him or her, you know, so that when I'm presenting, then she can smile, then I feel better, you know, that kind of thing. It's up to you. You know, this thing is a problem, she or he, so it doesn't matter. So today it really works whether it's a he or she. But my point, ladies and gentlemen, I'm trying to drive it. When we got there, luckily on that day, there was nothing so private, so we were never chased out. So the chair, who is the CEO, was chairing the meeting. So he starts the meeting very seriously. And like item number 1, they went on, they were talking about something, I can't remember. And then item number 2, and by the time, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a lie. By the time they got to item number 4, my boss was snoring. If you don't get it, I don't know. My boss was snoring, and the CFO was sitting next to my boss. And I was looking at my boss, remember my position, but there's no way I can get to her, but she's sleeping. Guys, come on. So item number 6 passes. So item number 7 is HR. And the CFO hits my boss a little bit. So throughout the meeting, my boss was sleeping, and she wakes up at item number 7. And then, we have 3 vacancies. We have hired. And then how on earth do you expect people to respect you if you are not a business partner who integrates what you do with the business? I have a serious problem with some recruitment agents who call me for a job, and they're saying they have a job for me, and when have you looked at my CV? Yes. Yeah. And they are talking about a job in engineering. That tells me that they don't even understand what they're looking for. So if you are a business partner, if you are an HR person, but you have no clue where your company is going, I have a serious problem. You cannot gain any respect. I want to tell you, and I'm being arrogant here just for talking to my colleagues, there are some qualifications that I did because I didn't need to do them, but I did them because I needed to be very relevant in the business. I worked with portfolio managers who were so arrogant, who when you talk to them as an HR person or as an L&D person, they were like, what can you tell me? Do you understand markets? So I went to start markets for that. I don't know whether you understand. So then there was this other one who didn't know I had done all these other things. And then he was like, yeah, no, but we can excuse Xolani if you don't understand. I said, sorry, what do you mean I don't understand? So then I said one or two difficult terms that I'd learned, you know. And then I am claiming my position, and that's my problem, ladies and gentlemen. If you are going to be known for vacancies, surely you can just send an email and say, look, we have vacancies. Really, for me, somebody asked me, what did you expect that poor woman or poor man to say? I expected, you know, one of the items on the agenda on that day was how we were expanding to the rest of Africa. And my boss was sleeping. In other words, there was an opportunity to put in HR to say, what about culture? What about the training of the people? You know, those kind of things. Instead, you're just waiting for an instruction. That's the problem. Some of you here, you are sitting here guilty. You have taken instructions, illegal instructions from CEOs to fire other people. And you have gone to do that. You have not given the right advice to the people. What am I talking about? Some of you here they know that if there's a retrenchment coming, there's a score to settle. And we call ourselves professionals. I mean, we can't deal with poor performance. We wait for retrenchment. That's unfair. This is for business operational issues. And we use it. We're always looking for an easier way out. And for me, I'm thinking we do not own the space at the executive table that way. Look at what Gwede Mantashe says. He said about implants. I'm not talking about implants. I'm not talking about anyone. But I'm just quoting what I read. If it was wrong, I apologize. But he says it's unethical and reckless. And I ask, where is the business advisor called the HR professional? If he's right, I didn't say he's right. He's a politician after all. So I didn't say he's right or wrong. But you get where I'm going. And so I'm saying, then the other issue that I'm worried about with the professionals is how you react to the future. Let me tell you why I'm worried about this. I know most of you were there because when I talk about Facebook to my daughter, she thinks I'm old school. Yeah, I mean, but remember when Facebook started? Do you remember that time? And what were people saying? No. What was HR saying? HR decided to go on policies. You instead of using Facebook, you went in to say, let's put down policies for those who misbehave on Facebook over the weekend. Then we can deal with them. That's how we are known. And I'm worried about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really worried to say we are always lagging behind because all we know very well is how to make policies. I mean, we can't deal with any issue. Put a policy. So my point, and I'm asking, how do we continue talking without recognizing that the future is not coming, but it's here? And therefore, as HR professionals, I'm asking you, what are you doing to ensure that HR remains relevant? Let me tell you some of the things that you're going to face. You are going to face change of jobs. And you can say, no, it's an engineering job. You can't say that. Because a job is a job, you own it. So reskilling, retraining belongs to you. You should be thinking in that vein, but we are not. all we are waiting to see what is going to be said. And let me tell you the other problem I'm worried about, and this is a big problem. You know, I'm Peter, 45 minutes. I can't talk for 45 minutes. I need 45 hours. But anyway, let's do this in 45 minutes. The other problem I'm worried about is the problem you are going to look at that and then say, yeah, you are right, government. Say it again, say it. There, say it is the government. Yes, poor education system that we have the worst in the world. Maybe you didn't hear what I just said. We have the worst education system in the world to an extent that politicians and you are taking your kids to a private school because you know there's a problem. But let me tell you why I'm bringing it here. I'm not going to talk. I can have a presentation on this one and tell you what we are not doing right, but I'm not going to talk about the government. I'm talking about you as HR professionals. This is another challenge. You are talking EE. You are talking employment equity. You are talking about transformation. You are driving transformation as HR directors. But the reality is we are scratching the surface. You do not understand what is happening in the township. Let me tell you, I grew up in the township. Let me tell you something that happened a few years ago. I was not staying in the township. I stay in the suburbs. I'm a coconut now. I am, yes. But let me tell you something so that you understand what I'm talking about. So we did a survey with a certain professor that shall remain nameless. Are you following? In a township school in Soweto. But I won't say which school. But that school, you know, I want to tell you, for those of you who are not parents or who are absent parents who never visit the school, you do not want to teach my child, I promise you. When I go to a school, I interview the teacher who's going to teach my child. The principal has known me since. I'm not apologetic. You know, parents, they're so behaving in front of teachers to an extent that when your child misbehaves, you say you are going to report them to the teacher. Yeah, you know, that's how you're scared of teachers. But let me tell you, so in primary schools and high schools now, they specialize in subjects, eh? You know that. Then you have a teacher who teaches maths across. You know, you teach this class and you move to another class. So when you walk on in the staff room, you are the man because you teach maths. This one is teaching Zulu. I teach maths. I really want you to follow here, guys. It's important. So we do a research in that particular school. So this lady had been teaching maths for 16 years. So she is an expert. Some of you are HR professionals for over 16 years. You call yourself a professional, experts in recruitment, experts in taking instructions, experts in firing people. But she was an expert in what? In maths. But let me tell you what we found out. Okay, I didn't find it out. My professor found it out. So I'm not taking credit, but I was there. Yeah, I was there. I'm not this assistant builder who then walks around and says, I built this house. Yes, I was there. So this lady, for the past 16 years, was teaching kids this way. 1/4 plus 3/5. Very simple. Did you hear the numbers? 1, 4, 3, 5. She will say 1 plus 3, 4. 3 plus 5, 8. Therefore, 4/8. What's wrong with, you see the tragedy is that some of you don't even know what is wrong with that. I didn't say that. I withdraw. So for 16 years, your child was bringing homework and you assisted the child. The child got it wrong. Says, Mom, your answer was wrong. So 16 years, she taught people to say, when you add fraction, you just add the numbers as they appear. No common denominator. You remember those things? Yeah. So 16 years, kids in that Soweto school came through knowing that that's how you add. And then let me tell you something. You interview the child for a job. That's where you come in. And then you're simply going to say, no, we can't find people. Because we are scratching the surface. We are looking for black students to fill the positions. We are not bothering ourselves to understand what is the problem. Partners for Possibilities and all these other organizations are really trying. But my point here is, for us, Soweto is building a house. or going to paint in a old people's home, and then we say we have contributed. The reality is this education system is fundamentally flawed. Because that woman, let me tell you one thing that I didn't tell you. She never studied maths. When she started teaching, there was no one to teach maths. Oh, you did maths a little bit. You did literacy. Okay, that's fine. You will. Let me just explain this point further so that you understand. I was in Mafikeng the other day when matric examiners were marking metric. Don't ask me what I was doing there, don't worry. But I was there. They were the group that was marking maths. So I sat there just observing as they were introducing and explaining that they are going to divide. You are going to mark question number 1, question number 2, and so forth and so forth. And I couldn't believe how violently people refuse to mark a certain question. And yet there are maths teachers in their schools. So you see, the problem is bigger than that. I don't hate maths, guys. For the record, I'm very good at maths. I don't hate maths. But I'm simply saying, and I don't hate our teachers. Our teachers are doing a good job. But sometimes we put them under pressure. And then the products come out, it's nothing. And then we expect L&D to perform miracles on those people. And then the HR director does not want to talk about that. Let me just leave this let's leave this and go back and talk more about the Industrial Revolution. Maybe we can get somewhere. So what I really want from you guys here is to understand the challenges that then come into your work environment as a result of that. But I'm not going to go into details on that. My point I want to get to is to say, what exactly do you need to do as a professional sitting there watching the third revolution going to an end, fourth revolution coming in? What is it that you need to do? See, for me, the biggest thing, and which you'll see from my later slides, which I am going to talk about more, is, the retention of staff. What are you going to do with your staff members who are going to be redundant? Because their job is now mechanized. You are going to go the quick way, let's retrench. And that's what HR people know. It's a quick way, what you call that?
Section 189.
189, yeah. What is the section for training? So my question here is to say, how are we going to retain our talent? So other than just letting them go, we're simply saying, how are we going to also deal with their self-esteem and ego? Because I thought I was the man moving this thing from there to there all these years, and all of a sudden I'm told I can't do that. Only a machine can do that. What about me? And how am I going to retain my critical talent who were performing very well, but now half of what they were doing is now done by a machine or by robots? What then? So that's the question that speaks to talent management. And I said, when I saw the word talent management, I said that is one other bad thing about professionals, talent management. Because talent management says patience, but HR people do not combine those two. When a line manager wants a job filled, they want it filled today. Let me tell you what happened here in Creston when I was working for another company here in Creston, what they did. They were looking for a group marketing manager. And they had senior marketing managers below that person. And the senior marketing managers were good, in my view. But they wanted a critical position filled. They advertised for 12 months, and they couldn't get the person. I really don't understand why you can't get 12 months a marketing person. Yeah, but they couldn't. And month number 18, they found someone. When they found this person, he came in from another group, and I think the culture was not good for him. They gave him shares, very many shares, millions of shares, and all those retention things. But 6 months down the line, that guy resigned. So 24 months wasted. They could have groomed those 2 senior marketing managers, but they were looking for a shortcut. And that's what we are known for. Here, there is no shortcut. Future world of work is here. You better start thinking Even if you hate this person who is sitting there, he's going to be in this company. Train them, retrain them, reskill them. That's our job. And I'm simply saying, if ever there will be a time L&D will be useful, it's now. But the first thing is the future must start in HR. If you're still shifting paper, then we have a problem. If you still think, I had a colleague who retired recently, who will write you an email and then go and print it and bring it to your desk. Sounds extreme, but what are we doing? When sometimes we ask people to fill forms and then we come and print them and file them. We are not even thinking future world of work, but yet we expect to support the business into the future world of work. And I have a problem with that. And let me tell you another thing that I have a problem with, and that's why I'm asking that we need to do a paradigm shift in our thinking as HR people. If we don't do this, we are lost. The paradigm shift says you move away from being a transactional person to a transformational person. I don't know whether you're listening to me. You stop being internally focused and be externally focused. HR people will come with those wonderful strategies. Those strategies are Trevor Noah. You know Trevor Noah? Trevor Noah is saying, others are going this way, and you are going this way. I mean, you come with wonderful projects that are not talking to the needs of the business. Start focusing onto the business. I don't know whether that makes sense. You can look at all the other things, but it simply means we have to change from thinking the way we were thinking. And if we don't do this, starting again. I have moved here. Yeah, it's moved. Is that the right summary of HR? I can confirm that it's not in the city of Joburg, but it's still within Gauteng, not far from the airport. Okay, you get it. I don't need to explain this one. You get it, do you? All right. So this is the former CEO of Alexander Forbes. Listen to what he said about HR. For him, now he has bought a university. The guy retired from being a CEO and bought a university. Yeah, I'm not campaigning for him. I've never met him. But he's a wonderful guy. I think he bought a university. Listen, he says, the human resources professional in an organization needs to be an integral part of the leadership. And the right hand, hey, did you hear that? The right hand of the chief executive, not the messenger. Not the messenger of, Establishing and sustaining an ethical ethos, the HR professional must work closely with the executive leadership team to define and promote the culture of an organization based on the underlying values and then entrench them, I can't read here, it's too small, entrench the culture through all the touch points in the human capital value. Isn't that good? But the question is, are we having our professionals doing this? Okay, I could end here and give you gloom and say, we are failing. We are retrenching the wrong people. We are messengers. We are doing all the wrong things. But then, nope, I can't do that. I'll be making a mistake. That is why we're saying the so what. That's the slide which should have been there. I don't know why my assistant removed it. Was so what? So what then? So then they were simply saying, we need to bring back the professionalism in the profession. I don't know whether I'm making sense, and this type of calls of marketing. I'm not a marketing person. I am simply saying we need to get our act together. Let me tell you one of the things that the board has asked me to look at. The board has asked me to do a research. Listen to the research. The board has asked me to do a research and see whether we should consider HR as a statutory profession. I don't even know whether you understand what I just said. 5 minutes. Okay, all right. So what this simply means, ladies and gentlemen, the board is saying, should we allow every Jack and Jill to come to HR? Should we allow an engineer who has failed in other departments to be redeployed in HR? And then at the end of the day, we have a mess, and then HR is disrespected. That's the question that we are asking. I am simply saying HR is seen as a career, as an occupation, because anybody with no metric can be your HR director. And we have HR directors with an engineering degree. Nothing wrong with engineering degree, don't get me wrong. But all I'm simply saying, we're having people who come here because they want to earn a living. We're having a 9-to-5 philosophy people in HR to an extent that people working in HR hate us. I mean, working outside of HR, because let me give you a practical example. You call someone to come to HR, the person comes walking worried, what have I done wrong? Because that's how we have been painted. There's nobody who sees the beauty of our profession because we allow anybody to join along the way. There are some of you who came to HR by mistake, but then you started loving it. The truth of the matter, when I talk to university students, I find others say, no, I wanted to do engineering, but my points couldn't qualify. They say I can do HR. So my point here is we really need to move away from that. And that is why I bring to you SABPP as your professional body that says we are an NPO not wanting to make money out of you, but we want to work with you in your journey. In other words, when you look good, we look good. You know, if you can't get anything I've said, I want you to get that. That is why we have introduced the standards to help you do your job better. And after that, we introduced the leadership standard. But let me tell you, tell me my time is up. Let me tell you this very simple. I am simply saying, as HR professionals, we came together and said, let us put our house in order. Let me put that for you. Let us put our house in order. I'm worried about my time. Okay. We said, let us put our house in order. And then we say, the problem in the company is leadership. The fish rots from the top. But then we said, no, 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 no. We are not going to start by blaming other people. Let's clean ourselves up. We came with the standards. We are applying standards in your company. As HR people, we're simply saying, here is your standard for you to apply. And then when you have sorted your house in order, you can point a finger at that unethical leader, the 3 fingers that are coming back and saying, what about you? Then you say, no, my house is in order. But because that's the problem, ladies and gentlemen, I'm being political and deliberately as I end. I'm simply saying it's easy for us to say Nkandla. It's easy for us to say Nkandla differently and nicely or wrongly. But the reality of the matter, when you live now and you drive on a yellow line and you are stopped and that guy walks in, you ask him whether we can make this thing go away. So I'm simply saying we cannot be pointing fingers at the country that has gone wrong instead of doing our part. You brighten your corner where you are. The first thing for us, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting down. The first thing is to make sure that we are professional enough ourselves. We have a backbone. You know, I used to be a COO and in charge of HR. I'll tell my CEO, I say, I know it's your decision, but as your advisor, I think you shouldn't do this. But it's up to you. You understand? I stand my ground. I am not like a plastic paper that when the wind blows this side, I flow. I stand ethically. There are some people who have lost their career and their professions because they could not stand up. We are failing to have ethical leaders because there are supporters like you who hide. When a CEO wants to hire someone with no qualifications, they come through you and you do nothing about it. So I'm saying to you, if you forget anything I say, I'm asking the profession to stand up and take its position. You know, when an accountant says this is on the debit side, it's on the debit side. We can debate about other things, but it's on the debit side. Why are we not standing as HR professionals? Ladies and gentlemen, I wish I had enough time to talk to you, but I'm going to end here. And you have been a good audience, and I hope whatever you do, you will go to www.sabpp and renew your membership if you have not been doing it. And be a member if you have not been a member. And come, let's join together and make the profession a respected one once again. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.